everyone, this is Julie from the Yuma Main Library, and I want to thank you all for joining the library for today's virtual program. As a location of Arizona's Territorial Prison, Yuma has been the residence of some pretty colorful characters. Among those characters were a number of women convicts that served time at the prison for a variety of crimes, and today I want to share some of their stories. The Territorial Prison operated in Yuma from 1876 to 1909, when it closed due to overcrowding. During its 33 years of operation, the prison housed more than 3,000 prisoners within its rock and adobe cells. 29 of those prisoners were women, who were referred to as frail prisoners due to their gender. Women convicts had not been included in the original plans of the prison, so no accommodations existed at the prison for them, until a women's cell was built in 1891. In order to make space for the women, the prison guards would have to crowd prisoners into other cells in order to empty out a cell to keep the women separate from their men. And the guards had to keep constant watch to make sure the male convicts never had any contact with the women. These accommodations proved to be such a nuisance and inconvenience for the prison authorities and guards that the women convicts would soon receive pardons in order to be rid of what the prison authorities called the female problem. The first female convict sentenced to serve time at the prison was Lizzie Gallagher. On November 16, 1878, she was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 1 year and 3 months. Hard labor for the murder of Private James Moreno. It is said that while at a local dance, Private Moreno insulted Lizzie, and in response to the offense, Lizzie stabbed him. As I mentioned before, the prison did not have a place to keep any women prisoners, so Lizzie was originally held at the Yuma County Jail. Her transfer to the Territorial Prison happened on October 1, 1879, when the county sheriff could no longer keep her at the jail. 42 days after her arrival to the prison, Lizzie was pardoned by Governor Fremont on account, as the Arizona Sentinel reported, of her youth and good conduct in prison, and because a marriage to a worthy man had been arranged immediately on her liberation. After the release of Lizzie Gallagher, the prison authorities thought they were rid of the complications of holding a female convict. However, 3.5 years later, Mae Woodman would be convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 5 years at the Territorial Prison, and once again caused complications for the prison authorities. On February 23, 1883, Mae shot and killed William Kinsman in Tombstone. The rumor was that someone had placed an ad in the newspaper, claiming that William Kinsman had intentions of marrying Mae. However, Kinsman denied these claims in the newspaper's next issue, and Mae, in a fit of rage, shot him. During her trial, Mae claimed that her actions had been in self-defense from the abuse she had received from Kinsman while she lived with him. Mae would receive a conditional pardon on March 15, 1884, after a petition signed by 200 citizens of Tombstone, including 9 of her jurors, was presented to Governor Van Arman. The pardon required that she leave the territory upon her release. Mae's pardon must have been good news for the prison authorities and guards, because during the time under their watch, Mae continued to court controversy. Before her sentencing, Mae attempted suicide by taking chloral hydrate and morphine. A little after Mae arrived at the prison, a rumor surfaced that Mae was pregnant. The Arizona Sentinel visited the prison and interviewed the prison authorities to verify the validity of this claim. Everyone claimed that this was impossible for Mae to be pregnant because she was kept isolated and had no contact with any of the male convicts. Then a few months before she was pardoned, the Tucson, Arizona Star reported that a surprise search of Mae's cell had revealed 6,900 unstabbed cigars made by other convicts hidden under her bed. Releasing Mae Woodman must have been a great relief after all that trouble. One of the most shocking stories regarding the women convicts is the story of Manuela Fimres. She arrived at the prison on March 6, 1889, after she was sentenced to 15 years for accessory to murder. A few months after Manuela's arrival, the guards noticed something peculiar about her. Manuela was pregnant, and on October 24, 1889, she gave birth to a baby boy named Luis Fimres. She'd be the only woman convict to give birth while imprisoned at the Territorial Prison. The little boy would live with Manuela at the prison for the next 2 years, until Manuela was granted a pardon. After the birth of the boy, calls to pardon Manuela increased. The Arizona Sentinel published a plea on behalf of the little boy, stating that the prison was not an appropriate place for a child to grow up. Governor Murphy pardoned Manuela on October 1, 1891. Maria Moreno was one of the youngest women convicts imprisoned at the Territorial Prison. Held there from October 9, 1896 to November 9, 1897, Maria was a local 16-year-old girl who was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 1 year and 1 month after killing her 15-year-old brother. The shooting happened while Maria and her brother argued. Her brother had reprimanded Maria for the company she kept and participated in a dance at one of Yuma's taverns and acted in the way unbecoming of a decent girl. In her anger, Maria responded by shooting him. Maria was released from prison after completing her entire sentence. The Arizona Sentinel did report that she died at the age of 20 on July 24, 1899. The most infamous of the women convicts was Pearl Hart, the Lady Bandit. Pearl gained notoriety as the only female stagecoach robber in the West. Pearl and her partner Joe Boot would commit the last known stagecoach robbery in the United States. Desperate for money, Pearl and Boot came up with a plan to rob the Globe stagecoach as it headed to Florence, Arizona. The robbery went off without a hitch, but the mistake came in their lack of a proper escape plan. Less than 4 days later, the Pinal County Sheriff captured Pearl and her partner. A whole media circus would follow Pearl's arrest, trial, and imprisonment. Newspapers from all over the country sent reporters to cover the trial. Cosmopolitan magazine would even do a whole story of Pearl's life and interview her about what led her to rob the stagecoach. The story ran in the magazine's October 1899 issue. Even during her imprisonment at the Territorial prison, Pearl would continue to conduct interviews to journalists and writers. There was never a lack of drama and sensationalism around Pearl's case. While incarcerated in Tucson, she escaped jail with the help of a fellow inmate. The two would make it to Deming, New Mexico before being recaptured. During her trial, Pearl earned the favor of the jury by playing to their sympathy. The jury would acquit Pearl of the crime of armed robbery by a vote of 11-1. However, Judge Doan, furious at how Pearl flirted with the jury, impaneled a new jury and rearrested Pearl for stealing the stagecoach driver's firearm. The new jury found Pearl guilty and was sentenced to 5 years at the Territorial prison, beginning her term on November 17, 1899. While in prison, Pearl would continue to enjoy her celebrity status and even begin to write poetry. Pearl was eventually paroled with the condition that she leave the Arizona Territory. On December 15, 1902, Pearl was released and headed to Kansas City, where her sister and mother lived, with plans to star in her sister's play titled The Arizona Bandit. Unfortunately for Pearl, her acting career did not take off. There are various stories of what happened to Pearl, but the last that is known of her is that she managed a cigar store in Kansas City in 1903. While Pearl had been imprisoned, another woman arrived at the prison with an equally scandalous and outrageous story. Elena Estrada had stabbed Refugio Vindiola, leading to his death in Tucson on the night of July 4, 1900. The rumor around this case was that Elena had caught her lover cheating on her, so she stabbed him, carved out his heart, and threw it in his face. However, there are no records to confirm this version of Elena's crime. Elena would be one of only 2 women to ever spend time in the dark cell while imprisoned. She was paroled on November 26, 1904. While there were only 29 women during the history of the prison, they definitely left their mark. If you'd like to learn more about the notorious women of the Territorial prison, check out any of these titles that talk about the women. So there's Frail Prisoners by Ben T. Trawick, Prisoners in Petticoats by Elizabeth Clugnes, or Desert Alcatraz, the Arizona Territorial Prison by Sheila J. Friday. Or you can always visit the Yuma Territorial Prison Museum so you can learn more about the history of the prison and its many inmates. Thank you for joining us for today's virtual program. I hope you enjoyed learning about some of the women who caused so much trouble at the Yuma Territorial Prison. We'll see you next time.